Hello everyone and welcome back to Fallout Wasteland Warfare, the post-nuclear war simulation of the video games, mostly based around Fallout 4, but also now they've brought in some Fallout New Vegas stuff and are continuing both ranges. Haven't played this in over a year, I think it was April 2020 we last played this. Stopped because of a combination of reasons, the main two being that whatever modifiers treats are resonant makes it difficult to use contrast paint on them, no matter how much you scrub them, and the other because my settlers, my survivors, they just kept losing. They just died over and over, or maybe they did their mission but were all dead by the end. So we're going to tackle things a little bit differently going forwards here, and be less focused on creating two equal teams from two factions available in the game, putting them against each other like a stereotypical tabletop war game, and instead leaning more towards the settlement mode that the game offers, where you have an actual base of operations. Whether you win or lose a particular scenario, you still get caps that you use to buy upgrades. I believe it's like the set normal is 200 for a win, 120 for a loss. So even if you lose, you're still making progress towards getting better. Like you can store more stuff, you can start with some random draws of better equipment, and so on and so forth. It also lets you focus a bit more on having an over-encompassing narrative, and hopefully this time around the narrative will not be the survivors keep on trying to find a home and lose every time, because they tried to get in a vault and failed, they tried to get a settlement and failed. So going ahead, we're gonna tackle things a little bit differently and see how it goes. As a reminder though, if you aren't familiar with Fallout Wasteland Warfare or have perhaps forgotten, this will be in the Fallout Wasteland Warfare playlist. Go back and watch the very first video called Test Battle Report. Basically cover all the rules there. I'd forgotten a lot of the rules. I went back and watched that and now I feel like I know them again. So I think it's an okay video for learning the basics. But we'll take a look at how things will set the scene, I guess, more so than show the initial setup and explain what's happening here. So to do the settlement mode, we obviously need a settlement. So as we open on how this is going to go from this point, we are playing as the sole survivor loner. He's been in the waste for a little while now, he's got some experience under his belt. Doesn't trust people though. It's almost like some traumatic thing happened and has made him doubt people. So all he trusts is his dog meat, scout rather. So he and his dog, they've been surviving in the waste a little while. He's taken a job, hired by a bunch of settlers to bodyguard them up to an area they feel is safe, where they want to set up a settlement, maybe open a trade route, etc, etc. So he agreed for the caps because he needs the caps, and as he travelled with them, the idea of finally settling down sounded better and better. So he's considering staying with them and helping them long term, setting up a settlement. So we're not there yet. They're going to have to fight for the settlement next time. This is en route to the settlement. It's just a lonely bit of road with a disused red rocket station. And the area is infested with mole rats and rad roaches. Not incredibly threatening, but that's on purpose to ease back into things. So the sole survivor loner, dog meat, they take it upon themselves. They've got to deal with the mole rats and rad roaches. Two of the settlers from the group that he's bodyguarding are willing to pick up guns and help him, so they'll be joining us. In terms of specific equipment, the sole survivor is equipped with a 10mm pistol, a hunting rifle and a machete. Dogmeat just has his dog bite, and then the settlers are equipped as you see them. One has a pipe rifle, one has a pipe pistol, and both of them have pipe wrenches as their weapons. And we'll go over the specifics of how they win this scenario in a second, but I will say there is some items on the map. Without a settlement, you're technically not supposed to hold on to anything beyond your initial setup because you don't have any storage. We're going to ignore that rule for now until the settlement is actually set up. So the sole survivor and the settlers and his faithful dog have come in orange distance at the road there, and their only goal is to get out the other side of the road, which is down here. Once they're off the map, they count as having made it. There is a few items scattered around that might be able to help them. Some of them are dangers, just picked a few symbols at random, so some are dangerous, some are items, some are dangerous if you don't pass a skill check, or you get an item if you do. And there are obviously enemies in the way. So we have one mole rat, we have two mole rats, three mole rats, they only have like 2 HP each, they're not particularly threatening. And then there's rad roaches, there's one there, there's one at the back of the red rocket station, there's one over there. They're a little more dangerous if they have full health by the time they get to you, because they get bonus attacks based on their HP. The most threatening thing on the map though is the irradiated red roaches which are blocking the way out down there. So they just need to get through the map, and then next time they'll reach what will become their settlement, and then we can start using the rules for that. But this is just to ease back in. We are using the AI cards for all the enemies. Incidentally, there is now an official app, which is a little over monetized in my opinion, but you can get all the AI cards for free, so you don't necessarily need to have a bunch of them, but they will be getting used here. So I think that covers everything. I apologise for the long setup, but we're finally ready to return to the wastes, and we will start with a survivor turn. Last thing to mention, well, two last things. Sole Survivor Loner gets the Lone Wanderer perk for free. It's not going to be relevant here because he's too close to other teammates. He's not going to be heroic. No one is going to be heroic unless they do something worthy of being a hero, and then they might become heroic. And what was the other thing? Oh yeah, since I last played, the Survivor faction got nerfed. Unique characters don't get 2 super armor at the start of matches now. Everybody just gets a flat 1, which we'll be doing here. So because the survivors have much less than the opposing faction, they take first activation. The sole survivor activated, he moved up yellow, and for his other action he's going to fire his 10mm pistol at this mole rat that's in the open here. So if you don't remember how it works, a quick refresher: you get your skill die, you've got to roll equal to or under whatever the skill is you need to get, and you add in dice based on distance to enemy, etc. It varies weapon to weapon. 10mm pistol is blue range, which is like 8-10 inches, something like that, so very clearly in. And you throw in a green die and a black die. Black dice in general do more damage. Green dice in general make it easier to hit because they have minuses on them. Yellow dice break armor. Blue dice does special stuff. Simple as that. And this needs to be a 5 or less. And that is exactly a 5, although it becomes a 4. And it does 1 extra damage. It does 2 damage base, so that's 3 in total. Mole rats have 1 armor, so let's see if they can block up to 1. He did, so he took 2 damage of his 2 HP. So this mole rat, if you've played Fallout New Vegas or 4, you can hear the mole rat death noise in your sleep, so imagine that right now because he just got Thanos snapped. So as a reminder, here's what an AI card looks like if you're just playing against the AI. But again, there is an official app where you can have the AI cards for everything just on your phone if you want. So you randomize which AI activates. You're supposed to like have a bunch of numbers and shuffle them around. A d6 works just as well. So it was actually the red roach swarm closest to the survivors that activated first. So you roll a blue die and see what corresponds to the description. It is full health, but the sole survivor loner was within range, so that means this table doesn't apply. It goes to this table. He wants to attack, and he likes lowest maximum HP. Now, he used his first action to move, which was yellow from where he was, and then red was more than enough to allow him to do a charge action. Now, unfortunately, he has no actions left this turn, so the red roaches can't attack. They will get a bonus die on their charge attack next turn, assuming they're not dead by then. And remember, this game has a thing where shooting into close combat is easier. It actually applies a -2, but then you randomize who gets hit. So in order to alleviate the potential danger of those rad roaches or shooting into combat, Dog Meat was activated next. He charges blue distance, so that's much more than was required. For his first action he charges in, and then for his second he's going to do a dog bite on the rad roaches. So that is normally skill die, blue, green, yellow, and then you get to pick a green or a black on the turn at which you charge. He's choosing black because he's got to just get a 7 or under, which is pretty good. And let's see what we get. He gets an instant veil, so never mind. Not even a quick action. What would that have done? It would have done 1 extra damage, so it would have done 3 damage. And he would have taken away the quick actions. Well, that is unfortunate. So next up, the AI activated the red roaches on the far side of the red rocket station, although I did also forget, because the red roaches were outnumbered, there should have been an extra green die in Dogmeat's roll. It literally doesn't matter though, because the skill die was an X, which is an instant fail regardless of what else is rolled, so didn't change anything, but I did forget that. So anyway, the red roach rolled for aggressive attacking, so he just double moved yellow to where you can see him right there. So currently the survivors are struggling to even wound a red roach swarm, and there's a bunch more. So Settler 1 with the pipe pistol activated, he charged in, so his other action is to initiate an attack with his pipe wrench. So we're getting skill die, the pipe wrench throws in a yellow, he gets a green die for the target being outnumbered, and I'm throwing in a black for the charge bonus to try and do some damage. Maybe should have put in another green, honestly, because they need a 3 or less with melee attacks. Maybe should have just risked the shoot. He got an instant fail as well. That is rough. So So for the AI is this mole rat that activated, and even though he can, or rather because he can see enemies, he rolled an M, which for them is roll a random direction, and we're using this old Warhammer dice for that. Move yellow, and then rather than place the miniature, you place a little bottle cap symbol to indicate that he's burrowed underground and is currently hiding until his next activation. So the final survivor is not going to join that melee, because they're going to have it handled next turn in theory. So she moved there, and she's going to shoot with her bolt action pipe rifle down there at that red roach swarm quite far away. Now I don't remember if intervening melee combat provides cover or not, but let's see if it matters. At long range she's just getting an additional black die to her rifle, and it's the skill die. Her base skill is a 6, and she got exactly that. So if intervening combat provides cover, she would actually have needed a 4 or less. But for now, because things have already started going badly for the rest of the survivors, let's say she landed the hit. They have 1 armor, and he blocked the damage, because her base damage is... oh, sorry, her base damage is 2, so she did 1 damage to that red roach swarm up there. And now the rest of the wildlife on the map just get to do whatever. So let's cover a couple of those critters moving around. The red roach swarm down here ended up over there. He scuttles in random directions, so he scuttled down here, and then he scuttled over there. He's doing nothing. The mole rat that was here wants to aggressively move, so he just did 2 moves. Now the way they charge is they burrow into the ground and pop up, but it has to still be within their charge distance, which is red, so he can't do that this turn. And that just leaves the most dangerous threat on the board. Down there, the glowing red roach swarm. I called them irradiated earlier, it's glowing. You know, glowing, irradiated, same difference really. Oh, and I forgot to mention, with that red roach swarm taking 1 damage, they have 4 health I think, so he's got 3 left. So in general, the glowing red roach swarm is a little more aggressive and less aimless than his other kin, so he is moving up twice, and it's already making good progress towards where the settlers are. And that does take us to the end of the first battle round, where only a mole rat died and a red roach took 1 damage, and 3 people failed to hit a red roach swarm right in front of their faces. Flashbacks to before are coming back fast and furious, but anyway, on to battle round 2. So battle round 2 still has the survivors going first, because they have less than the critters. There's 5 of them left. Well, they're called creatures, but they're all scuttly little horrible things, so I'm calling them critters. The sole survivor is activating. He's cracking out that machete again, and he's going to try and hack up this red roach swarm before it takes advantage of its charge bonus from turn 1. So normally, skill die, black die, green die. The target is outnumbered, so another green die. And first attack, needing 7s or less. And that's an 8, but it becomes a 7 thanks to the green die. Let's pull out a bit more. 2 extra damage and an armor break. They only have 1 armor, so the damage goes right through for a total of 3, leaving the red roach on 1. So he's going to attack again, and it's the exact same roll. That's a fail, but a quick action. Can he use a quick action to attack? He can use it to do a prepare, just to prepare, so he could technically react before or after, sorry, the red roach attacks him, assuming it chooses to. Alright, so that's his turn over. He dealt 3 damage. He has a quick action he can use in response to being attacked, but didn't manage to quite finish the job, unfortunately. Although that red roach swarm isn't necessarily who's going to activate first, because you randomize for the AI. So for the AI, it was actually the glowing red roach swarm that activated. The most dangerous target on the field is getting even closer. He wanted to aggressively push up, so again it was another double yellow move, because the red charge would not be possible after 1 move. But he definitely can next turn, so that is looking bad. Alright, it's time for the goodest boy dog meat to finish off this red roach swarm, whether it takes 1 bite or 2. So we come back out here, green die is thrown in for being outnumbered, and it is 7 or less. And he did get exactly a 7 with 2 armor breaks, so he ignores all the armor. Does the double bottle caps matter? No, it does not. It does base damage, but that's 2. So that red roach swarm is gone. Thankfully, they finally managed to kill something else. Red roaches all do radiation damage, incidentally, and the glowing ones do more. So he still has another action, so what he's going to do, in order to protect the settlers who are slightly better at shooting than they are at melee, his charge distance is blue, so this easily covers it. He's going to charge into the glowing red roach swarm to keep them busy, because he still has his super armor as well. And that will give him a bonus. I'll throw in a bonus black die. So actually we can just flip this icon, I believe. Yep, there we go. So when he attacks it next turn, he'll get a bonus black die thrown in as well as his charge bonus. the wounded Radroach up there with the 1 damage activated next, and he wanted to attack, so he moved, and then he initiated a charge into the settler here, and we'll hit them next turn. Now, when he finished that yellow move there, he was within the presence or threatening range of the Soul Survivor, because he has presence black, which is huge, it's like 12 inches. So I believe that means he can use his quick action at a -2 skill check to like take a quick Overwatch shot. If I'm misremembering how this works, by all means correct me, because I may not be remembering correctly. So he's going to take a shot with the 10mm pistol, because that would be in 10mm range. Normally he would need a 5 or less, but -2 to his skill, so he needs a 3 or less, because he's just firing off the cuff. And that is a 7, not a 1, so he misses, which is a shame, because it would have done 3 damage, it would have killed him. So the settler with the bolt action pipe rifle is activating next. However, I did forget that from turn 2 onwards you are supposed to draw event cards that affect the turns. We'll do that from turn 3 onwards. So anyway, there's no rush because he's already activated, that as in that swarmed. So she's going to fire at range green plus blue at the mole rat over there to try and take it out. So at long range it's just a black die, and she needs 6 or less. First shot is a 6 on the dot for 1 extra damage as well. So that is 3 damage coming in. The mole rat can block 1. It does not, because that's a 4. So it took 3 damage and is dead because it has 2 HP. So this mole rat is gone. I think that's all the mole rats. Oh wait, no, it's not all the mole rats gone, because there's one burrowing around underground doing who knows what. So now she has another shot. Wasn't expecting that. I guess she'll shoot into the combat between Dogmeat and the Radroach swarm right there, which means she needs an 8 or less, and she got a 6. That was a 6, I knocked it. The bottle cap doesn't do anything with the bolt action rifle, so we'll say 1 and 3 Dogmeat, 2 and 4 the Radroaches. Okay, it's hitting the Radroaches. They have 1 ballistic armor, they just need to defend against 2. He did block it, so the glowing Radroach takes 1 damage. So the Soul Survivor Mole Rat was the second last activation, because there's still that Radroach swarm that's wandering aimlessly. Popped back up out the ground and double yellow moved towards where the fighting is happening. I expected the survivors to get more into the map before this happened, but such is the way of things. So the last activation for my survivors in Battle Round 2 is the other settler, and I forgot just how bad settlers are stat-wise. Well, when it comes to close combat anyway, they're actually pretty good shots. So on that note, for his first action, he is pulling back out of combat so he can shoot the Radroach swarm. Now that means that the Radroach gets to do a free attack on him, and the way their bite works is for every 2 full HP they have, they do an extra one, but thankfully he's lost 1 HP, so he's only hitting the once. Basic Radroach bite gets a green die thrown in and the skill die, and normally they would be at skill 3, so he needs a 1. And he got a 4, it becomes a 3. Oops, sorry, that was not in view. So he missed, which means the settler can just take a shot. Now I've been trying to have the dice ready, but in situations like this I obviously don't. So we'll pull back, and he's going to use the bolt action pipe pistol, which is a black, yellow and skill die, needing a 6 or less. And that is a 7, unfortunately. Would have broken the 1 armor he had as well. That's a great shame, nothing he can do about that. So now it's over to the Radroach on the far side of the map to end the turn. So this Radroach is just happily minding his own business. He had to scuttle this way, which only put him to like there, because he can't get over that. Then he scuttled over here, next to the power armor station. So yeah, he's just chilling. So we are going into Battle Round 3 now, and there's going to be an event card in play. So I have the event deck here, it's all shuffled. So let's see what's happening. Lost supplies. Add a random item to the center of the battlefield. A beacon starts emanating from a small supply crate embed. Crate gen. That's a reference from my gaming channel. Okay, well, there's an item in the middle of the map. So the top of Battle Round 3 has seen that event card place down a new item there. That could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. Either way, both sides now have 4 models apiece, and in a tiebreak situation, I am saying the survivors go first. It's going to be Dogmeat. He's got a black extra die thrown in for his charge bonus. He's going to go after the glowing Radroach swarm because they are dangerous if they actually get to attack. Which is the one thing, they've been missing like, you know what, but the survivors haven't actually been attacked yet, which is handy. So anyway, Dogmeat, 7 or less. Dogmeat Scout, I should say. That's a 2 with 2 extra damage and an armor break. Does the Radroach only have 1 armor? It does. So in total, that is 4 damage. He has 1 on him. He has 1 health left because that's 5 of his 6. Dogmeat will attack again without the charge bonus this time. Come on, buddy, 1 damage. That's a 6, becomes a 5. 2 extra damage, doesn't even matter if he blocks it, but let's do it anyway, he wouldn't have. So that was another 4 damage. Goo's a good boy. Glowing Radroach Swarm has been devoured by the dog. That probably won't be good for his intestines later. So the closest Radroach Swarm activated and they wanted to attack. So first action was a charge into the Soul Survivor. The second action is going to be a Radroach Swarm bite. It's just a green die, although an extra green is thrown in for the charge bonus. It does 1 flat radiation damage. If it had full health, he would have got to do 2 attacks. And he needs a 3 or less. And that is an instant fail on an X, which is just as well because it would have broken armor. Now, because an attack got initiated against the Soul Survivor, I think the super armor disappears even though it wasn't used. I might be misremembering that, but that was the first time one of them has been attacked. I believe super armor disappears whether it's used or not upon being attacked, even if the attack misses. Again, if I'm remembering this incorrectly, by all means correct. But thankfully he missed. The Settler with the Pipe Pistol is going to activate, going to try and take out the last mole rat right there, since it's not much of a threat. It's within black range, which is the base for a bow action pipe pistol. It doesn't have a longer range. Black and yellow plus the skill die, and they can shoot, so it's a 6 or less. And that is an 8 with no minus. First shot was a miss. Gonna just shoot again. That's a 7 with no minus, and they needed a 6. You have failed me, Settler. You have failed me. So the mole rat was selected to attack typically, and he charged into Dogmeat. So if Dogmeat takes damage, it's that Settler's fault. Just the yellow die with the green thrown in for the charge bonus, and mole rats require 3 or less. That is a 4, but it becomes a 1. So he did make it. Dogmeat has 1 super armor and it's dealing 1 damage, so the super armor just absorbs it. So the Soul Survivor is going to try and take out that Radroach Swarm with his machete, needing 7 or less. He's good in combat. Perfect. Breaks the 1 armor they have. Does 1 damage flat, so that adds on an extra 1. It has 1 health left, so we'll do the same again, just needing 1 damage. Ah, that's a shame. Well, the Radroach Swarm that's minding his own business continued to do so. 2 random moves, 1 put him there, and 1 put him there to the other side. So I believe the last activation for the turn is now the other Settler, the one with the rifle, to take us to the end of battle round 3. So against my better judgment, the Settler there is going to fire into the combat with the Radroaches to try and finish it off. So with the bonus from shooting into combat, it's 8 or less at short range with the bow action pipe rifle. That's a crit, so well, that definitely made it. 1 and 3 is the survivor. Oh hey, I actually hit the Radroach. And that wasn't an armor break, right? Did it get knocked into an armor break? I think it was a -1, yeah. So she's doing 2 flat damage. It's got 1 armor, so there's no need to roll, but I will anyway, just in case. Well, even if he had blocked the 1 damage, 1 would be enough. That the Radroach Swarm is gone. So it's just the Radroach Swarm that's happily wandering around over there somewhere, and the mole rat. I guess for her other action then, because she has another action, we'll start wandering towards the objective, which was to like get out the map and grab items on the way. So she'll move there, and that takes us to the end of the turn, I think. Oh, not quite end of the turn, because we need to draw a new event card, which I will do now. The soft music of Diamond City Radio playing somewhere in the rubble fades out as the announcer can be heard. So it's Travis. But I'm not going to read Travis's dialogue. It's a nothing event. So battle round 4 is the AI going first, and it is the mole rat engaged with Dogmeat Scout that's going to attack. 2 bites, needing 3s or less. First one is a miss because that is a 6. Second bite is a miss with a quick action. Can they quick action anything? They cannot. They are too stupid. So nothing there for them at all. We're going to immediately retaliate with Dogmeat here. So just the basic dog bite. 7s or less. There's agility. That's a 2, but it becomes a 1. The explosion also means we broke the mole rat's arm, but it's probably not going to matter. That is base 2 damage coming through. He can block 1 of it. He does not, so he takes 2. And I believe they only have 2 HP. Yes, they do. The mole rats are off the map. That's the last one exterminated. And then for Dogmeat's other move, I'll need to grab the red movement template. He'll just start moving towards the objective, which is just to get to the other side of this interstate road here. So he's just going to move there. The other Radroach Swarm does not matter. We'll grab some items and just get out. So the Red Roach Swarm finally rolled to be aggressive, so 2 yellow moves towards the survivors / settlers over there, and now the rest of them get to go. The Soul Survivor moved yellow twice. He's going to try and grab that newly spawned central item, assuming it's something good, and then just kind of skirt back this way a little bit. The settler with the bolt action pipe rifle moved up to this crate and she's going to search it, so let's see what it is. Oh no, it's literally just a danger card. Okay, I need to go look those out. It's not even an item for our trouble, it's just a straight up danger card. I've shuffled these. Glowing one's corpse. You notice the limb of a deceased glowing one out of the corner of your eye. Not everyone remembers that the area around could still be radioactive. Test int. Okay, so her int on a settler, 4 or less. That counts as a 1. She actually passed. If you pass, you just keep your distance. Had she failed, it would have been 1 radiation damage plus a black die on top of that, which would have been nothing. So that's not so bad. So the last settler also just moved up twice, heading towards the end of the map because we're good to get out of here. That is the end of the turn though, so I'm just going to draw an event card while we're here, because they're just below me here. The short tempo leaves surfaces slippery. Climbing tests are agility -2, so that's not going to matter. So the one sole surviving enemy on the map activated first and wanted to attack, so it moved and then charged into the sole survivor right there. Can't attack this turn, but will have the bonus if he lives. So we're immediately going to go with the sole survivor. We're going to roll some dice with his machete, and it is 7s or less. Actually, isn't, like, he is strength 7. If I remember correctly, aren't strength 7 plus people meant to get an extra black die for like super strength? Why is the sole survivor so strong? I might be misremembering that. Well, obviously, if I'm right now that he should have been getting an extra die thrown in for being super strong because he's 7 plus, then that will apply next time, but just remind me if so. Either way, his first hit got through, so that is 1 damage against the 1 armor, and he blocked it, so the Red Roach is fine. Let's get in there with the other machete strike. That is a crit. It got through for 1 damage, which was not blocked, so that's 1 damage on the Red Roach Swarm, and the Soul Survivor is done for the turn. The goodest boy decided to jump in and help his master. Charged for first activation. Second action is the normal dice plus the black for charging. Oh, and a green for the target being outnumbered. 7 or less. That's an instant fail, which would have killed him. That's annoying. Oh well. The settler with the pipe pistol moved up yellow. Sorry, I already moved the icon. And he's going to check this. And it is... oh, for goodness sake. It's absolutely nothing! And the other settler just moved forward yellow twice. Again, forgot to leave the markers down, but she's right there. There's no items over here to check. I guess if the Red Roach Swarm is still alive next turn, they can maybe head over there. On that note, we're going into battle round 6, which we would probably count as the last turn either way. So let's see what happens with the event. Thoroughbirds overhead, it's a classic. It just means nothing's happening. So battle round 6, the last enemy on the map obviously activates, and he's engaged with Dogmeat and the lone Soul Survivor. He likes going after whoever has the least HP. They both have identical, so his next check criteria is who has the lowest luck, and that's the dog, and he's getting a black charge dice. Actually, I'm not sure if he'd be allowed that, because he charged the Soul Survivor, not Dogmeat, but either way, we'll roll it. And that is definitely a hit. Doesn't do anything extra on that. They just do base 1 radiation damage. Dogmeat has no radiation defense, so he just takes 1 radiation damage. But then he gets to bite again, or swipe or whatever it is, without the black die this time. 8 minus 1 is a 7, nowhere near enough. Sticking with Dogmeat, well, Dogmeat Scout, he is retaliating, extra green die for outnumbering, 7 or less. That is less, breaks the 1 armor they have, and does 2 damage. They have 1 left, so this last one needs to land, and then we're good. It does, and it broke armor again. So the last enemy on the map is removed, so this will be the final turn, but we can still use these last couple activations to maybe try an item or two. So because this is basically the end of the game, the Soul Survivor is walking up and checking this item, and the settler is moving and checking the one that spawned in the middle. That's the only one they can reach. So we're just going to say that's our reward for doing this. Because we haven't started a settlement yet, we're not going to get the caps for winning this, incidentally, which is why we're keeping the items for now. Assuming there are items, of course, because it hasn't been that way so far. The Soul Survivor found a danger card, but he is also getting an item. I have the danger cards here, so let's just draw the top of the deck. Rotten meat bag. Your foot sinks into something soft. It's an old meat bag, which are disgusting enough when fresh. Either clean it off and you get stunned, or ignore it and test luck. I'll say he's stunned and cleaned it off, but he's still going to get an item drawn. So let's see what this one is. That's just straight up an item. So there's way too many item cards in the game now, which is another reason to use the app, I suppose. I'm going to go draw 2 at random, and we'll see what they found. Alright, item cards drawn. We have found a fragmentation grenade and a damaged hazmat suit. So I think I'm going to give the frag grenade to the settler, because his pipe pistol wasn't that great. And I think the sole survivor is going to put on the damaged hazmat suit. Now, once we have the settlement, again, if you don't have storage sheds, you can't keep stuff that they didn't start with. But until we get there, we're going to hold on to extra stuff, and then we can say just like down to disrepair or overuse, stuff breaks once the settlement gets set up. So they are going to have those for the next map. The next map is going to be them finding the settlement and clearing out some probably more critters and maybe something a little bit nastier, so they can settle down and actually make a new home for themselves. So I hope you enjoyed this return to Fallout Wasteland Warfare. I apologise if I got anything wrong. Again, it's been over a year, so a little bit rusty for sure. But hopefully you enjoyed, followed along, and are interested to see what terrible, terrible adventures this group of survivors are going to get up to in the coming months. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Ta-ta for now.